What's going on, folks? This is your AEW Fight for the Fallen July 15th, 2020 review. And I am your host. Fight for the Fallen was a pretty good show, in my opinion. I like what I saw. It was full of high-octane action and nice storytelling. The show kicked off with Cody versus Sonny Kiss. Cody started the match off more aggressive than he usually does. I also noticed that the heels were cheering for Cody when he was doing his usual shenanigans and stuff. He was beating up on Sonny Kiss, and the crowd on the heel side noticeably enjoyed this, particularly MJF. Later on in the match, Cody defeated Sonny Kiss with a ferocious crossroads. Sonny sold it perfectly. Cody looked like he almost killed the guy. I liked it. The match was solid. It was nothing too spectacular, but it was just good. It was nice. Also noticed that the longer the match went on, the more Cody, the more desperate he became, and it was apparent with his heelish tactics. After that, we had the FTR versus Lucha Brothers match. And did it live up to his expectations? This was a dream match for a lot of people. And in my opinion, it was fine. It could have been better, but it was fine. I enjoyed it. The Lucha Brothers entered the match riding into the arena with FTR's truck. The Butcher and the Blade drove them in to this match. They are still in cahoots with Butcher and the Blade, and I think that makes for an interesting pairing. To start the match, I believe it was Cash. He did not let Pentagon do his glove bit where he slowly takes off his glove one finger at a time. Instead, he dodged it. He got his hand, Pentagon's hand, to the mat, and he stomped on it. So that was a nice alternative to what Pentagon usually does with his gloves. Early in the match, it seemed to be the two pairs seemed to be off a little, as the Lucha Brothers had a slight botch with a double team maneuver to one of, I think it was Cash. But they recovered, and the rest of the match was pretty good. To finish the match, Dax rips Phoenix's mask off, and as Phoenix was grasping for his face, to cover his face, because this is a no-no in luchador culture, this would usually just result in a disqualification. But per AEW rules, this was not the case. So while Phoenix was trying to cover his face up after his mask was ripped off, he was rolled up for the 1-2-3. FTR got the victory in this match, as they should have, because the FTR is being built, in my opinion, to become the next tag team champs after Kenny Omega and Hangman Page drop the belts. And they will drop those belts to FTR at All Out or by All Out. This is my opinion. I think that's what's going to happen. But post-match, Omega walks out to the ring and offers FTR some beers, a can of beers. But to Kenny's dismay, FTR pours these beers all over his head. So it seems as if FTR are going fully heel now. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm getting the picture of. Because before this, they were pretty much tweeners. You couldn't really tell if they were heel or babyface because they've been working with the Young Bucks and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. But After that, we go to commercial break. We come back. Jericho then makes an appearance for his promo. He makes his entrance, gets to the ring, then he gives us a rundown of the TV ratings. As many of us know, Jericho on Twitter, about a week or so ago, he posted the Showbuzz Daily spreadsheet of the past ratings that AEW lost in the overalls to NXT, but they won in the key demos, which is the 18 to 49 male demographic. They won every other demo, but except for the 50 plus. But it appears Jericho is using this. He incorporated this into his promo and into his character, and I think that this may upset a lot of people in the wrestling community, mainly because many people feel that they shouldn't acknowledge the ratings like this, and bringing this out just acknowledges the other company as well, WWE over in NXT. But yeah, in my notes I said that this may upset a lot of people, and it indeed did upset a lot of people. If you look over on Twitter, there are tons of people that are letting both sides have it. And I think this plays into Jericho's character, because this clearly gets a lot of people angry, and that's what he wants as a heel, to get under your skin. So you're playing right into it if you're getting angry about this, because that's what he wants. But later, after that, he then focuses his attention on Orange Cassidy. After he insults Orange Cassidy walks out and faces a lot of verbal abuse from Jericho. But actually, after this, Orange Cassidy gives a thumbs up, but then he quickly pointed his thumb down. And after that, a whole mass of orange juice falls down on the whole inner circle who were standing in the ring. This douses Jericho, Ortiz, Hager, and I believe Santana in tons of orange juice. Ortiz hilariously sells this. He oversells this hilariously. I think he's a funny guy. And they're all doused in this orange juice. The whole inner circle got juiced. All of this rained from the heavens. Jericho then started berating Orange Cassidy again, hilariously, as he had I think the inner circle gave him he was wiping himself down with a Orange Cassidy towel. And this is hilarious because Orange Cassidy's face is plastered all over this towel. Jericho's in a feud with Orange Cassidy, so why would he want to even wipe himself down with the man that he hates right now? But that's what happened. I believe AEW took a major risk with this segment, mainly because some people would think it is a jab at WWE, which it kind of is with the ratings talk, but also this apparently happened in the past. A bunch of wrestlers getting doused with tons of whatever other kinds of liquids, and some have associated this with being too WWE, quote unquote. So AEW took a risk with this segment. It was mixed. I've seen some people like it and some people hated it, but we will see what happens when those ratings come out. Next up was the Jurassic Express versus the Elite. And this was a fun match. I enjoyed it. Had a lot of highlights. I could not even keep tabs. I couldn't keep track of this. I couldn't take notes on everything that happened, but the little that I have is I said Jungle Boy shows off a lot of athleticism in this match. Jungle Boy looked great. He has gotten way better since AEW started, since last year. And he has been shining bright. So has the rest of the Jurassic Express. But I like Jungle Boy mostly in this match. But the thing most people are talking about from this match is the Canadian Destroyer that Marco Stunt was a part of. He delivered it, but he done it in a way. He climbed on top of Luchasaurus' shoulders while I believe Nick Jackson was draped over the ropes, and the rest was history. They landed it. It looked perfect. It was devastating, and he actually kicked out of this. It was a nice spot. Do I think it topped the one they did last week with the Canadian, when Phoenix Canadian destroyed one of the Bucks on top of everyone on the outside? No. I believe that one was better, but I did like this one also. Later in the match, Hangman Page was shown backstage at a bar drinking, of course, with the under his nameplate it had unlicensed bartender. I thought that was hilarious. And FTR then joins him, Hangman, at his makeshift bar, at the bar. And who knows what they were talking about, but clearly I think down the line maybe they could be aligned, FTR and Hangman Page somehow. This could play into what happens post-match. By the way, the Elite won this match. It was great. I enjoyed the match. Plenty of nice transitions and moves. High-octane action. Most will probably criticize it for not being a traditional tag match, but that's just what it is at this point. If you don't like that, then maybe AEW is just not for you. Post-match, Kenny teases a heel turn as he pummels Marco Stunt as he's lying lifeless on the mat. And it took both of the Bucks to pull Kenny off of Marco. Some believe this was due to what the Jurassic Express did to Nick with that Canadian Destroyer. It's like they almost killed him, and Kenny was just defending his buddies. But this could also lead to a much bigger story. Part of the slow burn heel turn, and dissension of the Elite / Hangman, Adam Page, and Kenny Omega as the tag team champions. Many believe we're going to be getting the cleaner in AEW. That would be great, in my opinion, as I'm a latecomer to Kenny Omega's work. I wasn't watching wrestling when he was on his run in New Japan, and I heard a lot of good things about his matches, particularly the Okada matches. I heard those were pretty good. But I just I started following AEW early last year when they were just formed. So all I know of Kenny is from his work in AEW. But I know he's good. He's good. I plan on watching his earlier matches sooner or later. But if we get the cleaner in AEW, that could be nice. That could be nice because Kenny I think he'd be a nice heel. And from what I heard, he was a pretty good heel. So, and that could be entertaining. So, to see how this dissension goes between him and the Elite, Page, etc., should be interesting going forward. Following this, we had Shida in the backstage segment with Alex Marvez. she pretty much issued an open challenge for her women's AEW World Women's Championship. And I think this is great. Namely because AEW is clearly depleted in their women's roster right now. Most of their talent is overseas. That includes the Joshi talent, the Japanese talent, the likes of Sadie Gibbs, Shanna, B. Priestley, etc. They can't travel right now, so they're kind of late in the women's department. No, there is no kind of. They are light in the women's department. So hopefully this should create more intrigue, because this should give Sheeta more formidable opponents. And as I was scouring Twitter after this announcement that Sheeta gave, I seen the likes of Thunder Rosa, NWA's women's champion, Thunder Rosa, accepting this challenge. She would like a shot. That should be nice, because if the rumors are correct that we're hearing that NWA may be folding sooner or later due to this pandemic and other issues regarding their management and stuff. So it could be a real possibility that we get to see a matchup between Thunder Rosa and Sheeta in the future. There were a number of other women on social media challenging for, there were a number of other women interested in a shot at Sheeta. So this should create a lot of intrigue and give her more formidable opponents, because they're a bit lacking right now. Penelope Ford, Nyla Rose, Big Swole, etc. apparently going to be busy with other things, so she can't keep facing them all the time. So she needs more opponents. So and the rest of the roster, that the women's roster that is available, they just aren't ready right now for prime time or for that spot. So this is nice. Also, while we're on the subject of AEW women's wrestling, it was announced next week we're going to get a matchup between Ivelisse and Diamante, which should be great. And as far as we know, none of these ladies are signed. But if these two are having a match versus one another, that means at least one or both could be signed at this point. And I'm hoping both are signed, because both can be great for this division that is severely lacking. So fingers crossed for that. That should be a nice matchup going into next week. So after this Sheeta backstage segment, Mox cuts a promo on Cage, Brian Cage, and he is ready for that title match that happened later that night. He was ready to rip some bone from Brian Cage, Mox says. Mox was fired up. He's ready. He's been off TV for like 3 weeks due to his COVID situation. So hopefully he's been fine. Hopefully he's fine now, as we will see later tonight, or later that night. Next match was the Nightmare Sisters versus Kenzie Page and first off, the Nightmare Sisters, which consists of Brandy Rhodes and Allie, formerly the Bunny, versus Kenzie Page, newcomers Kenzie Page and MJ Jenkins. Kenzie Page being the youngest female wrestler in AEW so far, and MJ Jenkins, which sounds familiar, but she could be out of NXT. I'm not sure, but we shall see. But in this match, the match was decent for what it was. It didn't last that long. It was like 2 to 3 minutes tops. I will say that Brandy, the Nightmare Sisters win this match, by the way. Brandy Rhodes has improved a lot since her matchup between Allie last year at Fight for the Fallen. She has improved leaps and bounds. She looks good. She looks decent in the ring. She seems to be flowing better, etc. So she's made progress. Kenzie, and I would also like to say that Kenzie Page bumps nicely. She sells nicely. But Nightmare Sisters come out with the win. MJ Jenkins takes the fall. Allie hits her with a inverted DDT or inverted drop. And she wins it for the sisters. Next up, Nyla Rose cuts her promo, letting us know who her manager is. As we all know, last week she let us know that she was looking for a manager due to everyone else who has managers in AEW having some success. So she thought, why not throw her hat into the ring? And she lets us know via her manager, which turned out to be Vicky Guerrero, which I'm mixed on, mainly because most people will associate this with being WWE like, and also she is screeching. She is like nails on a chalkboard, like just grates on your ears. So get your earplugs ready, folks. I wasn't watching back when she was doing her thing in WWE some years back, but from what I've heard, she can be pretty good and draw some heat. So we'll see how it works when she's paired up with her new client in Nyla Rose. I also would like to note that her theme is nice. I like her theme song. Mikey Ruckus has been on a roll lately with his AEW themes. So after that, we then get our main event, which is Brian Cage, the FTW champion, versus Jon Moxley, the AEW World Champion. Before the match gets started, Taz cuts a pretty good promo on Mox, regards to him staying home in quarantine and choosing to stay home versus coming into work like the rest of them, getting tested and coming to work, etc. So he turned a real life thing into a story for his character and Brian Cage, which was a nice touch. I also noticed that Mox pays tribute to his fallen buddy by the name of Danny Havoc, who passed away a few weeks back, and he was wearing a shirt in memory of his buddy. So the match turned into a street fight of sorts early, as Mox and Cage brawled on the outside. Mox was then suplexed into a guardrail that was set up against the ring apron, which was a nice spot. Went to commercial break there and came back. Towards the end of the match, Jon Moxley was working on Cage's shoulders, his arms, etc., which was repaired via surgery earlier this year. And that was used to Moxley's advantage on Cage. Cage would not give up. He would not tap. So Taz on the outside saw this. He noticed this. He was in Moxley's face at ringside as Moxley was putting on his holds, and Taz didn't like it. He said, "Screw you," etc. Taz couldn't take this any longer because he was trying to protect. He had to protect his client, so Taz threw in his orange FTW towel, for the finish to this world title match. Jon Moxley retains his title, and I believe Brian Cage is protected in this loss. Many people, I have in my notes here, most may not like this finish, and it turns out it is kind of mixed. A lot of people like it, some folks don't. So I like the ending, I like the finish. It's not the first time a towel was thrown in. The first time was back at Full Gear in Cody's match versus Jericho for the world title. MJF did that, and it was almost done again in the TNT Championship tournament between Lance Archer and Dustin Rhodes. It was a hesitation there, but it didn't happen. But it did happen in this match, so it protects Cage, and I'm fine with that finish. Post-match, Darby makes an appearance after the lights flick to black and then back on. Darby shows up and attacks Cage for what he did to him during the Casino Ladder match at Double or Nothing back in May. He put Darby out for like a month. So Darby makes his return tonight. Now, this sets up a feud between those two, Brian Cage and Darby Allin, going forward. And I believe that Brian Cage is a nice foil for Darby to rise up, come from behind, etc., to rise up and defeat the big old bad Brian Cage in the future going forward. That should be a nice matchup because Cage can toss Darby around easily, so that's going to look good when those two face off. But what's next for Jon Moxley, most people say? In my opinion, Moxley will go on to feud with MJF because MJF is second in rank to Mox. He is the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. So it only makes sense that he gets his shot finally. Because if you didn't notice, MJF has been stating that he is undefeated in singles competition. So that is a reason that he keeps throwing that in our faces. Plus, he was scouting on social media. He was scouting this match between Moxley and Brian Cage. And apparently the winner, as we know, is Jon Moxley. So that clearly sets up MJF versus Moxley going forward. And that should be a good feud because we all know how MJF can be, how good he is on the mic and in ring. So those two cutting promos back and forth should be nice TV going forward. And that is your AEW Fight for the Fallen review on July 15th, 2020. I believe it was a good show. There were a few blunders, but overall, it's still a good show. Feel free to let me know what you think, how I did, etc. This is my first time doing a review of a wrestling show, period. So I want to know, let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I will let you know. I will write back. I like interacting with people, so let me know. I would like to thank you for watching / listening, and stay tuned for more content. I will try to do this weekly now on the channel. So thank you. And if I left out any other details, let me know. Feel free to let me know in the comments. I would like to also add that the ratings are out, and AEW won the overall viewers with 788,000, and NXT had 631,000 viewers on the night. AEW doubled in the 18 to 49 demographic. We're out.